Having put in the very distant background, now I want to create a hedge line with some trees, which are going to form the distant boundary of the field that these animals are in. So I've still got that blue on my palette, but I'm going to add a little bit of the cadmium yellow deep that I had, and a bit more of the ultramarine blue. Again, let's grab a little bit of water in the palette and spray the surface of the painting. And what I'm going to do now is begin to put this on. So this is obviously a darker colour. And we'll just tap that across from right to left. And vary the height of the hedge as well, because the hedges in Devon, they're often hundreds of years old actually, and you know, they contain a huge array of wildlife, but they're certainly not regular in shape. Okay, so that's the beginnings of some kind of highlight colour for the hedge, because I'm going to darken that hedge quite dramatically in a bit. In addition to that green I just put down, though, I want to make things a little more orangey, perhaps an orangey brown. So I've just grabbed some of the cad yellow deep. I just mixed that into the green that I put down a second ago. Let's take just a little bit of the alizarin crimson and we'll mix that in. And again, we'll see what that looks like when I pop it down onto the painting. And again, that's not too bad, not too bad. So keeping things very, very loose. And that's probably enough of that for the moment. And having done the lighter areas, now I can begin to create some darker shadows. So I actually squeezed out way more burnt umber than I actually intended. So we'll try to use some of that up now. So I'm mixing some of that into that kind of orangey brown I had. Going to put a little more of the ultramarine blue in, but I haven't mixed that too thoroughly. So on the left side of my brush, I've got a more bluey mix than on the right side. And I'm going to use that now to hopefully put in some darker shadows for this hedge. And because I've got two colours on my brush, I'm going to get some automatic mixing and blending and variation in colour as I put the brush down onto the surface of the paper at different angles. So that can be a really efficient way of working. Kind of let the brush do the mixing for you rather than, you know, get too involved with doing everything on the palette. And again, we'll put a little bit of shadow over here. And now I've just picked up a liner brush or a rigger, and I'm just going to drag that through that colour that I was just using. And what we'll do is, you know, I'm not going to go too wild here, but we can just go wet in wet and put a few, you know, there are some trees in the actual reference, but I don't think I'm going to include those in any great amount. But, you know, we can just put a few little bits growing out of the hedgerow. Again, you don't want to be too precise about it, just hint at it. Well, we've established a bit of a background now, and you know, the colours are cool, they're pale, and they're neutral. So now we've got to start to work on the foreground. So we want to go a little bit warmer and a little bit bolder. So I've just grabbed some of the cadmium yellow deep, and I've mixed that into that very, very pale blue that I used for the sky. So let's begin to use some of that for the distant part of the field. Okay, so I'm going to begin by using a fairly similar style of paint application that I used earlier for the trees and the hedgerow. But then I'm going to